the liability. You know, we've heard about that case where a motion was drafted and submitted, and a person in the courtroom got in a lot of trouble. We've seen that on our LinkedIn feed. So there's a lot of liability tied to that, but I don't want to focus on those areas of AI where you're drafting a motion or you're doing something that could have serious implications or liabilities. Let's talk about the front end of the process, right? The client intake, the repetitive things like generating an engagement letter, right? Or responding with AI to a new lead, right? Based on maybe blog entries that you already have on your website so that the AI can talk like you, right? In order to generate an initial consultation, for example, or engage with them based on the context of what they say and replying. Those are some good areas for AI that's ready now and are being used by your legal practitioners. The benefits do outweigh the cost people believe, so that's good. We're at the right time where we can embrace AI and automation. And there's certain specific areas, I know it's really small, but the vast majority of people using Clio and the legal practitioners agree that online marketing, partly drafting documents, and discovery for litigation, these are some of the top candidate areas. And I want to talk about some of the outliers, which are online marketing and drafting templated documents or slightly templated documents instead of the very detailed responses, right? Those are great areas for automation, right? And then specifically also calendaring, getting documents signed, collecting payments. These are routine things that a business does. So I frequently work with law firm leaders or CEOs that need to be able to let go, to delegate what they do to other contract attorneys, right? So that they can live and travel and spend time with their kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a case for targeting these specific candidate areas with automation and AI as well. So specifically, there's, you know, that what it says is more details around what I was sharing around client intake, marketing, engagement letter automation, and then what I call off-take automation. I guess is, you know, getting the reviews and the referrals and check-ins later, right? So a lot of marketing automation. So, and this is where I believe we should focus because this is mature technology. It's ready, and this is where the most value per dollar, per resource can be, right? And we're not waxing philosophical about what is ready, what's not, what it takes to close deals faster and sign on clients, better clients. So let's talk about that intake automation. Some of the KPIs are what I call cycle time, how long it takes from an initial contact to get to an initial consult, to get to an engagement letter that's issued, that's signed, and that way you're retained. That whole front end of the process is an amazing candidate for automation. I think we're overlooking that, thinking about core cognitive things that AI can enable. Let's focus on what we can do today, right? So let's, and there's a ton of use cases we can talk about later that we're working on for clients around the world. Let's talk about this actual real case study and pain points. L&M is one of the law firms that is leading in the space. They were based out of San Francisco. Now they have about 35 lawyers, all contractors, by the way. And we helped them automate their entire intake process, and now we're doing more internal operations automation. I'll share a picture. L&M focuses on startups, trademarks, patents, copyright, all the things that are core and central to this audience. And in the initial whiteboarding session, we started talking about when you talk to a law firm owner and the leadership board, there's a lot of concerns that are not just the practice of law, it's the business of law, right? And we started talking about things as far as their legal entities, how they make money, the investments that this law firm leadership has and where to focus and where to take out a lot of the friction from the process, to have a more smooth client onboarding process, to have a better billing process, timekeeping. There's a lot of other things that come to mind. For each of those solutions, there's sometimes there may be a job performer disconnect. You know, it may be data that's not available, it may be procedural, maybe packaged software that you can use. But we started focusing on, and this is kind of funny, I'm sharing with you all the sticky notes from our discovery session. And here on the left, you're going to see, you know, this idea of building a better system for trademark filing. A lot of what we're talking about today, right? And responding to office actions. And then we were talking about financial timekeeping and invoices, and they had suffered from 90 days of unpaid invoices on that, and those are areas that you want to really go after for automation as far as financial transformation. But we started focusing really on the middle because on the left, we had done some experimental work with automating that process of trademark filings, but it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of unproven technology there, and it can't replace a whole humanistic workflow. So we decided to focus on really this area in the middle that has a lot of friction. It's developing client trust and onboarding and signing documents, getting paid faster, and getting to the point where you're engaging clients so that you can do the exciting work. And there's a lot of duplicative paperwork, this scattered data and systems, and you'll see that you may be able to relate. A lot of your customer data is just not saved in the same place. So we started mapping out, okay, how do leads come in? And it's a messy system a lot of times for a lot of people. But the idea is always the same. You're generating some kind of interest around your law firm or your specialty, maybe from this conference, right? Or from talking to a client at a certain session, and then you want to get to the point where you're capturing, responding, engaging, securing your contract. And when you get really good at this, and when you have your data right and your CRM is set up right, you can unlock other things, new subscription methods for legal billing as well. But you can't do a lot of this unless you have a lot of your data saved in the same place so that you can then get into automating and repetitively doing the same things to get people signed up. So these are some words from the client who's authorized to share. I'm going to get closer to here just to remember the essence of this. But the process to onboard clients has a lot of friction and a lot of assigning tasks to the first person, the second. They were using Trello and different types of software before that's off the shelf. But the engagement process itself, we recognize, is a bit archaic, right? In the way that you have to handle every single lead, a lot of scattered data between sending your engagement letter, your invoice, setting up a client within your time reporting software, duplicating that on Google Drive. There's a lot of different steps that repetitively happen. And I think this is the best candidate for automation. And so some of those challenges was a lot of data, a lot of scattered data, no business intelligence, no historical reference where the leads are coming in from. And then when you're in a situation, as we were talking about here, it's not just the number of patents. If you were to have a KPI, if I was an investor buying into a law firm, I'd look at other things too, which is their cycle time, their abandoned customers, how many people are in their CRM, what's the value per lead, how long does it take to go from a new engagement or a new contact until you're signed. Those are basic sales, marketing, finance metrics to see the health of a company. And so this is where you can have the most effect. And the process is slow. It's duplicative. The client also is getting to know you at this point. So the more trust you can build at this point, the better. And this is where you're making a first impression. So I think this is one of the top areas to focus on, which is that initial period. So let's talk about solutions and what we did. So we took these pain points. We looked at the cycle time. We baselined how long it takes to do certain steps of the process at the front end. And we started thinking about, okay, what is our ideal workflow? How are things conducted? And I can tell you today, a lot of what happens at the front end requires 3 to 4 times less people than they were using before. And it's a process. It's not, I don't want you to think of it as AI taking over, but you take your best engagement process and you automate those specific standards so it becomes more fault-free. So you repeat the same process, the way you engage a customer. And then at the next level, we also link in video messages as well. Thank you for doing this. Please review this below. So it's personalization at scale, right? Which also increases your turnover and your conversion rates for people signing up, right? Because they feel like, and then there's other things we do around text messaging as well, which has an 89% open rate in the first 30 seconds versus email. So, personalizing those, hey, thank you for this. And then you'll see also later on some free tools for taking meeting minutes and notes. Y'all were talking about speeding up the discovery process, right? Using AI just to recap what the initial free 15-minute consultation was about, and having the client see that, wow, they listened to me. That also increases trust and confidence, et cetera. All that can be automated, and that's very light, what I call light AI. It's not highly cognitive. It's not thinking permutations of what could happen in this or that case. So again, back to the point. So when we were dreaming, what is that ideal workflow? We went back to let go, boss. What can I do as a law firm owner and board of very seasoned, $1,000 an hour plus attorneys? What can we have our staff do on our behalf before work gets to us, right? How do I really let go and trust automation and AI so that we can close deals faster and get clients on board, good clients on board faster? So what we imagined is waking up in the morning, not being in the same country, being on vacation, working less hours a day, in your calendar filling up with new leads automatically, engagement letters are sent, and then when they're signed, you get a notification in your Slack channel, it's assigned to the right person. You're collecting payments with Apple Pay, which is what we've done recently, and then retainers and trust accounts are filled up as needed. It's a legally compliant system. Your marketing is 50% written by AI. Hey, at least the thesis topical statement. And then, within your staff, you have KPIs with people that have to produce content per month, right? And then we turned on other things, which is like affiliate marketing. We have referral commissions. If something comes through your social media or your LinkedIn, you have a unique URL, you get credit for that, and you can pay your law firm staff that way. So going back and incentivizing people for bringing in deals as well is a way you can motivate your staff as well. And then you have your time to travel or to spend time with your significant other or kids, et cetera. So the idea is we chartered this case for automation, right? So the business benefits: reduce operating expenses, increase reliability of the process, increase that speed to consult, and less human intervention, but we humanize through videos and messages, text messages, et cetera, that seem personal, but it's personalization at scale, right? Less onboarding friction, less mistakes. If you're making a mistake with the client at the onboarding period, they're going to expect a mistake later on again. So just making sure that that happens seamlessly, so important and critical. Imagine your favorite buying experience. Maybe it's from Lululemon.com or Nike or Apple or something that happens really smooth. So we replicate that kind of process where a person's informed, they're paid, and then even mobilizing staff for assigning tasks and resources, right? Whether using certain case management software or whatever. Having those standard operating procedures ready to go for any untrained or little trained staff. So yeah, the idea was decreasing that onboarding friction, tackling scattered data, and the mission was to be the #1 digital law firm in the world, right? Where we could make the lives of people easier, save time on these routine tasks, and then help get paid and service clients faster, right? So back to that concept. Before you're able to fly with AI and go on autopilot, which everybody is dreaming of, there are certain things that you need to do to create standards, and that's what we did. Just like the military, standard operating procedure. This is what happens when a client doesn't show up for your initial consultation. Okay, we can reactivate that lead in certain ways, right? With less human emotion. Hey, sorry you missed blah, blah. Click here to reschedule. There's certain things you can do to keep people back in your pipeline. And then running with automation, we talked about engagement letter automation was huge, for example. So this was the process that we came out with. Again, I'm going to get a little bit closer here, and you'll be able to relate to this, but there's a certain point, and these are all the people involved, the systems, the steps, and alerts. But the idea was, and this is the top area for automation that I suggest as a takeaway. You have a new lead contact that's initiated, whether it's in person. You'll notice I have like QR codes on my business card. Same thing for the law firms, right? Whether it's a LinkedIn article or you met a person at a wedding or they saw an advertisement if you're running. So we're using some sales techniques here where you want to offer a free 10 to 15 minute consult. It doesn't have to be with you, but with a human being, right? And you do that for two reasons. You want to see if they have money, they are a budget holder. Second is if they have a compelling event or something you can help them with. Like, why act now? Why hire you now? So those are the two things you want to filter on, and that's it. It's really a getting to know you meeting. This has increased their conversion so much. I have numbers I cannot share with you, but I have a video later on to show you how this works if we have some time. You want to execute that consult, and nowadays it's being done without an attorney there, but the meeting minute, the notes and the transcript is being saved back to your CRM. So your senior staff, every 10 to 20 consults, can review and see what opportunities do we need to upsell or position, or is this some client that we want to sign on? Have you done this type of work? Is it a client we can work with? So some of those regulatory checks as well. You want to then send consult proposal and the initial invoice so that they can pay and get started. Some of the principles and aha moments that we had here, the driving principles, like the change in protocol and diplomacy, was the CEO, the lead counsels, you don't want to involve them at all until step number 15, right? So there's a lot of crap that happens before you don't want to involve your senior counsel with yet, unless there's some kind of flag on this type of client. The operations manager, the idea was to involve even her minimally until a certain step of intake happens. And then within the automation engine, you make it do all the dumb routine work for you, right? And make every client feel special along the way. The admins, you have them take away the ops manager's work, which have different KPIs, and you want to minimize that client friction throughout so that they can pay and smile and enjoy, and you can retain them if they're good business for you. There's details around how this happens. It's all encapsulated for the law firm, but the idea is, in the end, and this is what I think is critical, yes, number of patents, quality of patents, but then you want to see how often you're getting new consults, how often you're signing on new clients. What is that deal size? What's the volume? And then what's the velocity? What is the velocity that you're moving through? And what are the holdups between each step? Once you have your data organized the right way like that, you can incentivize your people or whip your people into different ways. There's different ways of reinforcing, right, or rewarding behavior. But you're not able to track that you're running blind unless you're able to segment your clients, your leads in this type of way, right? What's really useful, this is gold after you invest in, I've highlighted this certain column that says abandoned. That's $250,000 of abandoned leads that didn't show up or didn't have time or whatever. There's a dollar value to your data, to your leads, to your contacts if you sell your company, right? This is also on the books, right? Not just animal spirits and patents and whatnot. It's a market that you have serviced, or and there's customer data around. You want to attribute a dollar sign to every stage of the customer engagement process, right? Whether they just reached out to you, whether they signed up, maybe they're a bad client or they don't pay. You also want to tag them accordingly. So there's deal probability that you work on here, but this is super important in order to be able to see how effective your performance is. So volume and velocity, how fast we can. And if AI helps with velocity, amazing. There are 2-3 candidate areas that we're using AI right now for, and one is that chatbot integration and being able to qualify and motivate people to book. And there's others around customer feedback, and before they leave a review, asking them certain things so that you can kind of gate that review process later on. So we do have, we have a few minutes remaining. I don't know if do y'all want to watch this 2-minute video or not? It's about those certain pay point solutions. Or should we leave that for you to do on your own? Show of hands, who wants to see a video? Okay, cool. We can play it. Thank you.
I have 7 tips to help you get more leads and follow up faster. So the number one pain point that I hear from lawyers is not having enough time. 9 out of 10 lawyers don't have a way to schedule themselves or use a paralegal to do things that can be automated. For a business as a lawyer, this is the most important thing. It has to do with you getting paid. For a technology guy, it's the easiest thing to automate. Let me show you how. You add this calendar scheduling tool to your website so people can go online, book you, and have a free consultation. Bonus tip, you can make paid consultations and get paid on the spot before they even show up so you don't have to nag them with invoices afterwards. The second thing I highly recommend is having a website chat widget so people don't ghost you, so you know who actually visited your website. At least collect their name, phone, and email, or request a callback this way. Struggle number 3, getting paid faster or just issuing invoices. It's such a pain, and you have so many consultations and cases to worry about. Ever wonder how you can send invoices super fast? It takes literally 2 seconds. Let me show you how. You just press this button when you're texting or emailing your client, and this is the link that's generated. You see the invoice right here. Super easy for them to click and pay. You don't have to send receipts or anything. All that's done